Hey, how's it going today? So, on my Twitter, I basically mentioned I was going to analyze this press conference with these four congresswomen. But before I do it, first off, I was going to do it yesterday, but I decided to wait a little bit because I figured that the Democrats were going to jump and do something ridiculous, which obviously my prediction was right again. Nancy Pelosi violated House rules, um, and I would just pretty much leave it at that. But she was trying to pass something condemning President Trump's quote unquote racist tweets, and President Trump he had tweeted about these four congresswomen that if they didn't like how our country was being ran, they could go back to their country. Three of these congresswomen are not born in a different country, but Ilhan Omar is, and I don't think it was a racist tweet or there is a deep seed, of racism, hatred uh, when he did that tweet. But quite frankly, these are the four congresswomen who did not want to vote to pass humanitarian aid for the border crisis. So. Um, Whatever you may think of it, looking at the policy, in my personal opinion, they are pro sex trafficking, pro drug cartel, pro human trafficking. So the blood is on these people's hands and unfortunately other members of Congress. So let's go ahead and start analyzing this and try not to drag it on too much. But, you know, it's an agenda that's anti American, it's seeded from hatred.
Well, first, I want to say thank you to all of you for being here today. And I want to send a message of gratitude and thanks to
Ayanna Presley is the woman at the microphone. Basically, this woman went to, I guess, a rally or whatever it's called, conference called Netroots, and she was basically saying they don't need black voices that don't want to be a black voice. They don't need queer voices that don't want to be a queer voice. They don't need Muslims that want to be a Muslim voice. So right then and there, she's so grateful. It's all beautiful. They're inclusive. Right after, just days after, you're basically demanding that people have a monolith ideology and do what you say.
the solidarity that we have received from every corner of our country, from our colleagues to our neighbors. We are grateful for your solidarity, your encouragement, and your support in the face of the most recent xenophobic, bigoted remarks from the occupant of our White House. I will always refer to him as the occupant, as he is only occupying space.
Right then and there. She's so grateful. She's so wonderful. Look how graceful she is. Then she refers to the president not as a president, but as the occupant of the White House. So not only is she disrespecting the man himself, which is President Trump, but she is actually disrespecting, the office of the president. Would this happen with Obama? No.
He does not embody the grace, the empathy, the compassion, the integrity that office requires and that the American people deserve. That being said, I encourage the American people and all of us in this room and beyond to not take the bait. This
Unfortunately, this woman already took the bait. She took her own bait, which was racist, 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 racist. If you don't think like me, you're a racist. If you don't act like me, you're a racist. Which, when you pretty much demand that people do what you say, move the way you want them to move, and think the way that you want them to think, I don't know. I mean, I think that might be a little bit more racist. People of color should not be a monolith. And to demand so, hey, you know, is there positive results behind it? Hate to say it, but before Trump, black community was doing very bad. So no positive results.
This is a disruptive distraction from the issues of care, concern, and consequence to the American people. That we were sent here with a decisive mandate from our constituents to work on. Everything from reducing the cost of prescription drugs to addressing our affordable housing crisis to ensuring that the American people have more than health insurance, but health care. More recently, thanks to the partnership of Chairman Elijah Cummings and the advocacy of myself and a coalition of advocates I've worked with for decades, we held the first hearing on childhood trauma. And in sitting in that hearing, as we heard about the many manifestations and iterations of childhood trauma in the wake of the public health crisis and epidemic that is gun violence, in the wake of PTSD, in the wake of those battling substance abuse disorder and a host of other things, it was impossible not to think of the trauma that is being inflicted upon children every day at our border. At the end of the day,
It's ICE's fault. This is basically where they're at with it on the Democratic side. It's ICE's fault, but remember, like I said, these four women right here voted against the humanitarian aid. Billions of dollars they rejected to help these struggling illegal immigrants and struggling ICE or CBP people and ICE. So there you have it.
if we improve the conditions of children in a cage, they are still in a cage. And we are viscerally, vigorously,
Obama built those cages.
And fundamentally opposed to the criminalizing, the vilifying, the mass detention and deportation of migrant families who are simply doing what is their legal human right, and that is to seek asylum.
Seeking asylum does not equal chasing down economic opportunities. To seek asylum, you must seek asylum in the first country that you come in contact with after you leave your country that you may be persecuted for race, religious reasons, political reasons, etc. Wow, look at her face, man. I mean, you could just see the arrogance and the anger and disdain. Why is she so mad?
In the tradition of who we say we are as a country, a beacon of light and hope and of refuge. This is simply a disruption and a distraction from the callous, chaotic, and corrupt culture of this administration all the way down. We want to get back to the business of the American people and why we were sent here, reducing the cost of prescription drugs, addressing the public health crisis and epidemic that is gun violence, addressing the racial wealth gap, and yes, making sure that families stay together. I also would like to just underscore the fact that despite the occupant of the White House attempts to marginalize us and to silence us, please know that we are more than four people. We ran on a mandate to advocate for and to represent those ignored, left out, and left behind. Our squad is big. Our squad includes any person committed to building a more equitable and just world. And that is the work that we want to get back to. And given the size of this squad and this great nation, we cannot, we will not be silenced. And now I'll invite Representative Omar to offer a few words as well.
So, yep, there you go. That's Ayanna Pressley, the one who demands that we do think the way she thinks, votes the way that she wants to vote. I don't know. I mean, it shouldn't be reduced down to a race or a religion. I mean, I believe in freedom of thought, so nope. After all this time, uh, it's not like you got a lot going for you right now, Yana Presley.
Thank you, Congresswoman Ayanna Presley. This country was founded on the radical idea that we are created equal and endowed by our Creator with inalienable rights. And yes, we have a long way before we fully live up to those values. It is for this reason precisely that we have to take action when a president is openly violating the oath he took to the Constitution of the United States and the core values we aspire to. As Martin Luther King said, all we say to
As Martin Luther King said, so here she goes. Basically, she's trying to act like she's for, I guess, the black community, civil rights, but yet again, they didn't want to pass that humanitarian aid, huh? So it's kind of hard to believe you care about people of color. And then, I mean, if you just do some light research on Ilhan Omar, I mean, she seems a little bit racist to me, anti-Semitic, definitely. Uh, just been running around talking a whole bunch of crap, stirring up chaos, but it's not very much going for her in terms of Congress, passing some, I don't know, positive legislation for Americans.
America is. Be true to what you say on paper. I believe this is a pivotal moment in our country. The eyes of history is watching us. Right now, the president is carrying out mass deportation raids across this country in each one of our districts. Right now, the president is committing human rights abuses at the border.
So there you go. The split moment, she wants to act like she's a civil rights leader, invoke Martin Luther King. Now she's making all these crazy claims against the president, which, if you look into it, basically ICE is enforcing interior, they're conducting interior enforcement. They are deporting people who have already received court orders for deportation. They've already had their due process, um, but she doesn't want to say that.
Keeping children in cages and having human beings
Obama's cages,
drinking out of toilets.
flat out lie.
This president, who has been credibly accused of committing multiple crimes, including colluding with foreign government to interfere with our election. This is a
She's talking about the Bob Mueller report with the so-called Russian collusion. Um, Long story short, at the end it says there's no collusion with Russia, or basically says no Americans colluded with Russia. So, last time I checked, president is an American, so no collusion. And basically, she's calling Bob Mueller an idiot. I mean, let's just be real about that. Despite whatever fickle details may be included, however the report is framed, um, her, just like many other Hollywood elites, are calling him an idiot.
president who has overseen the most corrupt administration in our history and pursued
Obama was the most corrupt administration in history. As a person of color, man, and as a Christian, I felt as though I was left out, forgotten, and attacked relentlessly. But the media loved Obama. They loved how he sowed up hatred, chaos, division. They loved how he pushed racist, racist, racist. I mean, last time I checked, at a time during the Obama administration, there are people in the black community burning down cities. So I don't know.
an agenda to allow millions of Americans to die from a lack of healthcare while he transfers millions of dollars in tax cuts to corporations. This is a
Obamacare was a mob tactic. You had the privilege of paying very high deductibles, getting Obamacare, which was unfortunately government mandated, poor care, very expensive for poor care, or you had the privilege of not affording it as a working class citizen or a middle class citizen and paying a penalty because you could not afford health care or the Obamacare. That's the individual mandate part of Obamacare. So, I mean, you ever dealt with the mob, and the mob approaches you and they say, hey, we could look out for you because something might happen to your restaurant. Somebody might get ticked off and bust out your windows or steal all your stuff. I don't know, they might shoot up your place, but you give us a little bit of money and we'll make sure that your place don't get shot up. Well, that's kind of what it felt like with the individual mandate of Obamacare. Either give us all this money up front or we gonna come for your livelihood and we gonna penalize you and you gonna pay a penalty for something you couldn't afford in the first place.
president who has said, grab women by the pussy. This is a president.
And now she begins going ahead and putting out all this incendiary rhetoric. And she starts cursing on TV. I mean, just imagine if a kid was watching this. I mean, really. They could at least give a parental warning or something like that. I mean, they could at least give a heads up. There are a lot of people who don't really, run around talking like that and stuff like that. But, we're going to see how much it's going to go.
President who's called black athletes sons of bitches. This is a president.
Only black athletes, no white athletes, no athletes, of any other race, ethnicity. She's just singling out black people.
Who has called black people who come from black and brown countries shitholes. This is a president who has equated neo Nazis with those who protest against them in Charlottesville. This is a president who has openly violated the very value our country aspires to uphold.
Charlottesville president rebuked both sides, and just like he's kind of rebuked David Duke. But see, the secret is David Duke is endorsing Ilhan Omar. And David Duke is a white supremacist. I ain't down with all that. Any type of supremacist. I think we're all equal, right? America. But David Duke is endorsed Ilhan Omar. I wonder why.
Equality under the law, religious liberty, equal protection, and protection from persecution. And to distract from that, he's launching a blatantly racist attack on 4 duly elected members of the United States of House of Representatives, all of whom are women of color. This is the agenda of white nationalism.
If you are a woman of color and you disagree with me, or if I go out here and spend years at a time trying to slander you, basically equate you to Hitler, hoping to incite violent attacks against you and your associates, if you dare speak back, if you dare disagree with me, as a woman of color, you are racist. You see the logic behind it? Because I don't see any logic behind it.
List. Whether it is happening in chat rooms or it's happening on national TV, and now it's reached the White House garden. He would love nothing more than to divide our country based on race, religion, gender, orientation, or immigration.
Perfect projection. So after her doing the exact thing Basically what she's accusing the president of, she's now pointing a finger saying he's doing what I literally just talked about seconds ago, which is as a person of color and a woman, you must do what I say lockstep with me, or else you are racist.
Immigration status. Because this is the only way he knows he can prevent the solidarity of us working together across all of our differences. The only way to prevent us confronting the problems our country is facing, whether it is healthcare, climate change, student debt, or our endless wars. This is his plan to pit us against one another. This is how he can continue to enrich his friends.
His plan to pit y'all against each other? Whoa. Hey, wasn't it y'all and your homegirl AOC that was calling Nancy Pelosi racist? It really got to the point where I actually feel bad for Nancy Pelosi. And it takes a lot for me to get there. Okay? But these people are single handedly destroying the Democrat Party. You know, Nancy Pelosi is a racist because she singled y'all out or she disagrees with y'all's approach, in politics. I don't know, man. But it's the president's fault. Y'all did what y'all did. Y'all said with Nancy Pelosi.
And distract us from the detrimental policies that his administration is pushing forward. So we can either continue to enable this president and report on the pile of garbage that comes out of his mouth, or we can hold him accountable to his crimes. We can continue to turn a blind eye of the.
Okay, you married your brother as immigration fraud. Now, you marrying your brother, I guess that leads to tax fraud. So I don't know. I don't know. This is desperation. This is what I'm seeing is desperation.
Multiple crimes he's accused of. We can stand while he violates people's basic human rights and the responsibility that
His people's basic human rights. Wait, weren't y'all just like calling him like a white supremacist and stuff? So now you're saying that he's violating white people's basic human rights? I mean, if you make this effort to separate the president from all other races and then say all he cares about is white people, then you're basically building off of that saying, okay, now he's hurting all the white people. Wait, that doesn't make sense because if he's a white supremacist, then that means he's only helping white people and he's leaving everybody else out in the cold. There's no logic in this. Doesn't make sense.
his administration has for the deaths of children on our border, or we can take action. I have not made impeachment central to my election or my tenure. But since the day that I'd gotten elected, I'd said to people, it is not if he will be impeached, but when. So it is time for us.
I did not make impeachment, but it's not if he'll be impeached, but when. Yeah, it seems like your sole goal is impeachment of the president. I mean, literally, where's the logic? It's like the way she's talking is she's hoping to appeal to people who aren't very intelligent because this doesn't make sense to me.
To stop allowing this president to make a mockery out of our Constitution. It's time for us to impeach this president. So now we're going to have Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Good afternoon, everyone.
This is Miss Green New Deal right here. The Green New Deal that would bankrupt our nation, that didn't even get a vote on both sides, Democrat and Republican. This is it right here.
Um, I'll try to keep things as brief, I guess, as I can. But who knows when I get on a roll, right? Um, when I was a little girl, my father took me to the reflecting pool here. We were on a road trip from New York to Florida to visit family. And I've told this story before, but it was my first time ever visiting Washington, D.C. And it was my only time visiting Washington, D.C. for years, if not decades. And he rested me on the side of the reflecting pool and had my toes dip in the water. He had me look at the Washington Monument, had me look at the Capitol, had me look at the entirety of the capital of our great country. And he looked at everything and he pointed to all of it and he said, "This belongs to all of us. This belongs to you and it belongs to me." And so the first note that I want to tell children across this country is that no matter what the president says, this country belongs to you. And it belongs.
So now she's basically trying to make it seem like children are being completely left out by this president, that basically this current administration is not thinking about the future generations of Americans. And then basically it's a blanket statement because it's all children. We're not talking about legal citizens, legal residents, like for example, holding the HB1 visa, or just Americans. No, this country belongs to everyone in the whole world, all the children in the world.
To everyone.
Everyone.
And today, that very notion was challenged. This weekend, that very notion was challenged. So I am not surprised when the president says that 4 sitting members of Congress should, quote, go back to their own country when he has authorized raids without warrants on thousands of families across this country. I am not surprised that he uses the rhetoric that he does when he violates international human rights and takes thousands of children away from their
Nancy Pelosi is a racist.
families.
These people being deported have not received court orders to be deported. They have not done anything against the law whatsoever.
I am not surprised that he has turned our public education system under the leadership of Betsy DeVos into a cash cow to enrich himself and his friends. I am not surprised when he corrupts via the Secretary of Transportation. I am not surprised at what he's doing. But I also know that we're focused on making it better.
Wow, this president is only enriching himself while taking zero salary as a president. President's salary, I think, is $400,000 or $450,000 a year. He's turned that salary down. He's already a billionaire. But no, the president is doing this because he needs to enrich himself. It's only to make himself filthy rich and not do anything beneficial for the American people. No, no, no. The way she's framing this is that he's doing this to hurt American people or anybody residing in America while getting rich. Disagree.
Because we don't leave the things that we love. And when we love this country, what that means is that we propose the solutions to fix it. We love all people in this country, and that's why we believe healthcare is a human right.
Yeah, just like Obamacare, right? We saw how that turned out. Before we look at what's in it, let's pass it first and then see what's in it. Yeah, that didn't work out too well. Healthcare is a human right. Look, We live in reality, okay, where people have to work. Money exists. All of this just doesn't come out of thin air. Healthcare included, because if it was free, long story short, we bankrupt our whole country.
But we love all children in this country, and because we do, that's why we fight for education for all children through college. And so we'll stay focused on our agenda, and we won't get caught slipping, because all of this is a distraction. It's a distraction from what's most.
You played yourself, AOC. You caught yourself slipping. Nobody really had to do it for you. Because remember, Nancy Pelosi's racist.
Most important and from our core values as American citizens. And with that, I'll hand it over to Rashida Tlaib.
Thank you so much. Thank you to my sisters in service. Thank you all so much for being here. As we all know, the recent tweets and words from the president are simply a continuation of his racist and xenophobic playbook. We cannot allow these hateful actions by the president to distract us from the critical work to hold this administration accountable to the inhuman.
Miss, we are going to impeach the mother effer. First week, you get in Congress, that's your agenda. Didn't propose any good policies, or hey, you care about people of color. Okay, well, how are you helping them? Not too much going on with you right now helping people of color that you claim to care about. So there's Miss Impeach the mother effer right there.
Conditions at the border that is separating children from their loved ones and caging them up in illegal, horrific conditions.
If you break the law as an American, you think they're gonna let you stay with your kid in jail? No. So if you break the law and you cross over into our country illegally, you don't, follow the legal procedures in, let's say, claiming asylum or trying to seek residency in America, oh no, your family's going to get separated. See, your family should stay together even if you break the law. But Americans, nah, we're not going to have that for Americans because you're more special.
I represent the third poorest congressional district in this country, one that is made of working people who have been targeted by this administration, and their actions and words are hurting them today. I was elected to fight for them, fight for the 13th congressional district. They sent me here to Congress to fight back against the corporate assault and the corruption in our country. This means supporting an impeachment inquiry of this president and his actions by the administration and his appointees. Sadly, this is not the first, nor will it be the last time we hear disgusting, bigoted language from the president. We know this.
I must unseat the president. We must get him out of office because he is hurting the American people. That's pretty much what she's saying. No, I'm not going to work with the president or work with my colleagues on the other side of Congress to, I don't know, help the American people. No, we must unseat this duly elected president, and that will help all Americans.
Is who he is. And we know that he and his administration are constantly engaged in actions that harm residents and American people in our country. Many members of Congress have called for his impeachment because of his utter disregard and disrespect of the United States Constitution. And despite this and other many attempts to distract us, I remain focused. We remain focused on holding him accountable to the laws of this land and accountable to the American people. I urge House leadership, many of my colleagues, to take action to impeach this lawless president today. And now we'll take 2 or 3 questions. Mary?
Thank you very much. The president today said that many people agree with him and support these comments. I'm wondering if you can speak directly to those supporters of the president and explain why these comments are so harmful and hurtful? And on a personal note, if you can discuss the consequences and impacts a bit of these comments. Have you had to up your security? Are you receiving increased threats?
I would just say that the experience that he offered is in contradiction to the experience that I have every day, including in the airport on my way here. There were many people who approached me and who said, I disagree with some of your policies. I'm an independent, I'm a Republican, but I think what he did was wrong. And he won't apologize, but I am going to apologize. So I have experienced nothing in the wake of those comments, again, but words of denouncing these xenophobic, bigoted words. But again, this is a distraction and we should not take the bait. We can.
So apparently, what she's saying is people empathize with her, and xenophobic, basically means that he hates people from different countries, ethnicities. Um, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, when you, for years at a time, basically equate this president to being Hitler, and you talk about ICE having concentration camps, and we know the Holocaust happened. I mean, and then you're working with the media, Democrats, media working together. You fantasize about his assassination. We already had an attack on the ICE facility. They tear down the American flag, raise up the Mexican flag. All these things happen after all these years of stirring up crap. But see, he cannot speak against us. He cannot say anything against us because the split moment he disagrees with us or gets angered because you're trying to paint him out to be Satan, hoping that his associates go get bankrupted and get physically assaulted, hoping that the president gets assassinated. He spoke back. He gets angered. He hates women of color. He's a racist. He's a bigot. I mean, the cognitive dissonance is so very strong in this one because there's a lack of understanding of actions and consequences. But only supposedly there's an understanding of action and consequences when negative consequences are coming their way based off of their actions. Suddenly, she is enlightened, a great moral orbiter, an oracle of sorts.
And sit here and continue to recycle his hateful rhetoric, of which I cannot feign surprise or inflated outrage, because he is, if nothing else, predictable. What we are focused on are the hateful policies that are draconian and oppressive and life threatening and family separating that is being rolled out by this administration every day.
Family separating. Okay, President Trump tried to propose something. Lindsey Graham, the Republican side, tried to propose something. These four Democrats voted against humanitarian aid. So, I don't know. Let them kids suffer and get raped, right? You all for that. Hey, that's your life, your choice. I'm against it. And no, I don't hate illegal immigrants or people of color. But they're not, ICE and CBP can't just do it for free. Hello. Everybody got bills to pay.
Councilwoman Omar in particular, but to all of you, can you respond to some of the president's specific claims, most notably that you're a communist and that you're pro-Al-Qaeda?
You might have noticed how when he said go back to where you came from, there was an uproar through all of our communities because every single person who's brown and black at some point in their life in this country heard that. Now, when he made the comment, I know that
Basically, since President Trump made a comment that was addressing me, I'm going to take the pain of, let's say, the black community or people of color, of whatever discrimination that they've faced, and I'm going to piggyback off of that and apply that sticker to me. So this is the woman. You can make a simple video search about how she, I guess, pretty much was enamored by this professor who squared his shoulders back and said with a deep voice, Al Qaeda, Hezbollah. I don't know, man. I don't know.
every single Muslim who has lived in this country and across the world has heard that comment. And so I will not dignify it with an answer because I know.
Do you support Al Qaeda? Well, this insulted. You know what the president did? It hurt all Muslims and people of color, and I won't answer that. I won't dignify that with an answer. I won't say yes or no if I support Al Qaeda, but I will not dignify that with an answer. I'm in essence pleading the fifth.
That every single Islamophobe, every single person who is hateful, who is driven by an ideology of othering, as this president is, rejoices in us responding to that and us defending ourselves. I do not expect every time there is a white supremacist who attacks or there is a white man who kills in a school or in a movie theater or in a mosque or in a synagogue, I don't expect my white community members to respond on whether they love that person or not. And so I think it is beyond time. It's beyond time to ask Muslims to condemn terrorists. We are no.
It's beyond time to ask Muslims to condemn terrorists. Think about how dangerous that statement is. That's a very, very dangerous statement. Because she doesn't say it's beyond time to condemn terrorism and we're going to condemn it. She does not dignify it with an answer. Remember?
Longer going to allow the dignification of such ridiculous statement.
Some of you have made comments that the president took issue with that were controversial. Do you think that some of those comments made, if they were inflammatory, if they were controversial, that this situation would be different? Because he specifically directed some of those same comments back at the president.
Could you repeat that?
The president took issue with some of the comments that some of you have made on a host of issues and turned them back around. Have those comments not been made, or the controversial not, or you perceive them as being controversial, do you think that would make this situation different? He wouldn't have the firepower to turn it back around.
No. Oh, sorry, go ahead. I will take this, and I think Alex has a great answer for this, so I'll let her finish it. Every single statement that we make is from a place of extreme love for every single person in this country. It is.
Really? Really? Are you kidding me? Extreme love. Nah. Nah.
Is part of the mandate of why we ran for office and why we got elected. Every single person wants to make sure that they have people in the halls of Congress that is fighting to make sure that they have health care, that they have an education that is suitable in the United States, that they have access to proper roads and bridges, that they have access to clean water and clean air. Every single person here in the United States knows that we are fighting every single day to create a more perfect union and to fight on their behalf. Now, when people say, if you say a negative thing about the policies in this country, you hate this country. To me, it sort of speaks to the hypocrisy, and Alex and I were talking about this. When this president ran, and until today, he talked about everything that was wrong in this country and how he was going to make it great.
Wow. Okay, so lowest black unemployment, Hispanic, Asian employment, lowest unemployment for women, rising GDP, rising wages. Let's see what tax. What is it? Tax cut or let's see. We got tax benefits for having a child. Where was Obama? 8 years he couldn't pass this. 2 years this president is able to accomplish a lot. Okay.
And so for him to condemn us and to say we are un-American for wanting to work hard to make this country be the country we all deserve to live in, complete hypocrisy.
But you voted against the humanitarian aid for all those illegal immigrants that you supposedly cared about. Right, right. Maybe there might be some Muslims, that have been caught up, by ICE and CBP, but you voted against that, right? So let them suffer too.
I don't think it would have changed anything because, first of all, he made statements that were blatantly untrue. So whether he was citing comments or not citing comments, if he didn't have what he wanted to say, he would make it up. This president operates in complete bad faith. He does not operate in good faith. And so that's one thing. But second to the previous question as well, weak minds and leaders challenge loyalty to our country in order to avoid challenging and debating the policy. This president does not know how to make the argument that Americans do not deserve health care. He does not know how to defend his policies. So what he does.
So it's not that you get a good education, you get a good job, you work your way to get to a place in society where you succeed and you can start off, at the lower part of the ladder and get okay healthcare, and then as you progress in your career, you get better healthcare, merit-based society system. You are born and you are automatically given that right of healthcare by the government.
Is attack us personally. And that is what this is all about.
Attack y'all personally. You get in the office, he's a racist, he's Hitler, there's concentration camps at the border, but he's attacking y'all personally. You call Nancy Pelosi a racist, but you're getting attacked personally. Well, I mean, damn, if you want to dish it out, you gotta at least be able to take some blowback. I mean, and if you can't, then I'm sorry, but you're just nothing but a big baby. You're almost 30 years old, AOC. Come on. Grow up, woman.
He can't look a child in the face. And he can't look all Americans in the face and justify why this country is throwing them in cages. So instead, he tells us that I should go.
Obama built those cages.
Go back to the great borough of the Bronx and make it better. And that's what I'm here to do.
Thank you all so much for being here. We really do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
So that's it with that. Anyways, Sorry, this video is a little bit long, but I did want to go ahead and fulfill the goal of analyzing this. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit the bell, you'll get a notification. I really appreciate that. And feel free to check out my Twitter. I'll post it up in the description. It's at lightandfire33. Feel free to send a donation if you wish. To my PayPal, I'll post that in the description. So that's pretty much it with that. After years of all this inflammatory rhetoric, these anti-American policies, now they're the victim. This is pretty much my little fire ice theory in play. Go around, demonize, bully, start crap, try to incite violence against them, slander, and then once there's blowback in your direction, I'm a victim. See, it's one thing if somebody's completely messing up and they're really hurting people and then you call it out. But if there's somebody like President Trump who's basically put America in a better place than it was during the Obama administration, cognitive dissonance. So, thanks a lot. God bless. Have a good day.